Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you for being with me again today. Today, we're going to discuss um, a subject with an example. And the subject is courage, and the example is the tennis organizations, ATP and Wimbledon. It is very unfortunate when you have politics getting involved in sports. It's very ugly. And the reason why is that ugly is because you go over there to compete against others, and nobody should care what kind of sexual orientation you have, what kind of thoughts you have, what kind of ideas you have, what preferences you have, what philosophers you like, what philosophers you don't like, what people you hate. That should not be the concern of the organizers. But unfortunately, we are at a point where we have politics putting pressure on some big organizations that can be very much independent from and immune to these political attacks or pressures. And unfortunately, they're not. Obviously, this is about Wimbledon, who felt that they have the moral authority to ban certain players from, in this case, Russia and Belarusia. It just happens to be these countries now, but tomorrow it could be United States or France if they don't behave the way Wimbledon or the British leaders deem. If they say, well, they didn't do what we would like politically, and they're not guilty of anything just because they are, let's say, Americans or French, we're going to ban them from participating. Well, guess what? It's very refreshing when you see people with balls, you know what I mean? And they show it. And this is one of those guys. And I would like you to remember this guy's name. And whenever that happens, just applaud him. So this comes from an article from TSN, and it's from yesterday, May 20th, 2022, and this is the title: ATP Men's Tennis Tour Access Wimbledon Ranking Points Over Ban. So Wimbledon banned some tennis players from Russia and Belarus, and then ATP said, you know what, whatever the points those guys were supposed to earn at Wimbledon will not be considered because that's not fair. Oh my God. Let's see. So the women and men's professional tennis tours will not award ranking points for Wimbledon this year because all of England's clubs ban on players from Russia and Belarus over the invasion of Ukraine, an unprecedented move that stands as a significant rebuke of the sport's oldest Grand Slam tournament. It's sad, Wimbledon. It's sad. It is sad. Because if you go with political views, why don't you go with racial views or racial discrimination? Are you going to that? Why not? That's the first place here. First move. The next one could be that. You don't like these guys' ideas. Next one, you might not like someone's, I don't know, sexual orientation or maybe his, race. But anyway, the WTA, ATP, and ATP announced their decision Friday night, 2 days before the start of the French Open and a little more than a month before play begins at Wimbledon on June 27. Well, uh, it says here, in a technical sense, this renders the event an exhibition because there are no ranking points at stake. Still, it remains Wimbledon with its traditions and prestige, which I think are dented by this, but that's my lawful opinion and preference. From the grass underfoot to the all-white clothing, from the royal box to the strawberries and cream, not to mention millions of dollars in prize money, and so the expectations is that everyone eligible to enter will do so. Russian athletes have been prevented from competing in many sports, including soccer's World Cup qualifying playoffs, since the countries began attacking Ukraine in February. Belarus has aided Russia in the invasion. The All England club said in April it would not allow Russians or Belarusians to compete, which drew immediate criticism from the WTA and the ATP, along with some prominent players such as defending champion Novak Djokovic or Djokovic. It will bear watching how this whole episode affects the relationships among the various entities that have a say in the way tennis is run. Not tennis is run, this is just political. And I'm quoting, the ability for players of any nationality to enter tournaments based on merit and without discrimination is fundamental to our tour, the ATP said in a statement. The decision by Wimbledon to ban Russian and Belarusian players from competing in the UK this summer undermines this principle and the integrity of the ATP ranking system, saying it made this move with great regret and reluctance. Wow, the ATP added, and I'm quoting, our rules and agreements exist in order to protect the rights of players as a whole. Unilateral decisions of this nature, if if unaddressed, set a damaging precedent for the rest of our tour. Discrimination by individual tournaments is simply not viable on our tour that operates in more than 30 countries. A statement attributed to WTA chairman and CEO Steve Simon, and released by the tour Friday said, in part, nearly 50 years ago, the WTA was founded on the fundamental principle that all players have an equal opportunity to compete based on merit and without discrimination. The WTA believes that individual athletes participating in an individual sport should not be penalized or prevented from competing solely because of their nationalities or the decisions made by their governments or their countries. So WTA chairman and CEO Steve Simon, all right, Steve Simon, keep that in mind. In addition, the International Tennis Federation said Friday it would not grant its ranking points to the junior and wheelchair events at Wimbledon this year, explaining that tournament organizers are not permitted to unilaterally impose entry criteria. Wow. And then we have the All England Club sent a statement via email expressing its deep disappointment at the removal of ranking points, calling the tour's position disproportionate in the context of the exceptional and extreme circumstances of the situation and the position we found ourselves in, terming it damaging to all players. Well, nobody pushed you. Who pressured you in that? The club reiterated the two main ways in which it previously defended the choice to bar Russians and Belarusians, and I'm quoting, it followed advice from the British government. It followed advice from the British government and an unwillingness to accept success or participation at Wimbledon being used to benefit the propaganda machine of the Russian regime, which through its closely controlled state media has an acknowledged history of using sport success to support a triumphant narrative of the Russian people. That's all political. Get out. So anyway, and then among the prominent players affected by the ban are reigning U.S. Open champion Daniil Medvedev, who recently reached number 1 in the ranking and is currently number 2. Men's number 7 Andrei Rublev, women's number 7 Arina Sabalenka, a Wimbledon semi-finalist last year, and Victoria Azarenka, a former number 1 who has won the Australian Open twice. Medvedev and Rublev are from Russia. Sabalenka and Azarenka are from Belarus. They are eligible to compete in Paris, and Medvedev deflected questions about the topic of Wimbledon's Russia policy on Friday. And he said, right now I'm focused on Roland Garros. He said at the pre-tournament news conference, I'm here. Wow. So, and then it says here, the U.S. The U.S. Tennis Association, which runs the U.S. Open, has not announced a decision about players from Russians and Belarus. The tournament starts in August, so we'll see if the Americans will do the same thing that the Brits did. Unbelievable. And I'm quoting the last paragraph. The USTA reflects respects the difficult position that Wimbledon faces in the decision to ban Russian and Belarusian players because of political pressure. Add Mr. Spokesman Chris Weidmeyer wrote in an email, and I'm quoting again, "We also respect the grounds on which both the men and women's tour responded, though we believe their decision to withdraw points from all those who play Wimbledon this year is disproportionately severe due to the extreme and unique situation Wimbledon faces when making its decision. No, politics should not be intertwined with sports, sports with politics." And this guy here, these guys from ATP, I'm surprised, have balls like the I just posted a video a minute ago, 2 hours ago or so, about Bulgaria and other countries having balls of challenging, like the South American countries now with the Summit of Americas. There are presidents who start showing them out for everybody to see and challenge the big boss, the big slave master with its own club. So good. It seems like when those guys are fighting, the attention is over there. Everybody else is scrambling for the fences or for they run to the hills. That's like Iron Maiden. This is what they do. Well, it's good. Finally, I have at least some hope because Novak Djokovic or Djokovic, he was the only one talking about it. And I think it was also Nadal of Spain. He also spoke about that. And he was all attacked about, oh my God, what are you doing? They were almost to be called names, names, name calling. When you lose the argument, and you start the so-called character assassination to make that person be on the defensive and run away because, they try to destroy you morally, like they are pure and clean, like a crystal ball. Not that kind of ball, but anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Good job, tennis. I'm glad you have that. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth. As someone commented, grow balls and be just. See ya.